Hello coffee friends, today we're looking at an espresso machine, specifically this one, the Breville Barista Express. We're going to be going over the whole machine, how it works, some pros and cons, and a few little quirks that may deter you from buying it, so be sure to stick around for those. So without further ado, let's hop into the review. Hello, my name is Stephen Holm and I'm with Homegrounds, a place for you to learn more about brewing and enjoying better quality coffee right at home. If you're new around here, be sure to subscribe to our channel because we make more reviews just like this, but also brew guides so you can make the best coffee possible right at home. Like I said earlier, today we're looking at this machine, the Breville Barista Express, or the BES 870 XL. It's a semi-automatic espresso machine made by Breville, made for the home consumer, and it's retailed at $700 US, which I find a bit of an interesting price point because I think for those that are just getting into coffee and just starting to look at espresso machines, $700 may seem like a lot of money to put down for this machine. But for those who have been interested in coffee for a while and know that you can spend thousands of dollars on an espresso machine just for your kitchen, this may seem a little too good to be true at the price point. So let's go over all the features. First thing that you'll notice on this machine is the built-in grinder, which I was hesitant about because most machines that have a built-in grinder like this, it's not going to be the best quality. However, I was pleasantly surprised. The grind sizing seemed pretty consistent and the doses that I got out of it were pretty repeatable for every shot. As far as controls for this grinders, there is a knob on the side that you can adjust how fine you want your grinds, but also if you take out your hopper, which they very cleverly made so that you can just twist this, remove here, and have access to both of your burrs on the inside. If you remove the top burr, you actually have another sort of macro adjustment for your grind settings if this knob isn't getting you to where you need to be. So that's a nice little option in there as well. You also have a couple more controls here on the front of the machine. You have a mount to control the amount of your dose, and then also a button that switches you between a single dose and a double dose. That's just if you're doing a single shot versus a double shot, it just doubles it. The grinder works pretty nicely. You would just take your portafilter, set it into these handles right here, and if you push in once, it's going to automatically dose out the amount that you have set based on here. However, if you press in the portafilter and hold it, then you just manually stop it whenever you want, which is nice. And I found that that automatic dosing system was actually fairly consistent. I was able to get pretty much 18 grams of coffee out every time that I weighed it. This grinder is not going to compare to, say, a very nice, almost commercial grade Malkonig espresso grinder, but for a built-in grinder on an espresso machine, I think it does just a good enough job. So now moving on from the grinder portion to the actual brewer, let's go through all of those features. First, you have this portafilter. It's really nicely made. It's nice and hefty. The only complaint I might have is these baskets are a little difficult to get out. You really need to like pry a knife in there or something, but that's not a big deal. This machine includes 4 baskets. This is the single wall double dose one. We'll bring out the other baskets later. The machine also has a tamper, which is very conveniently placed with a magnet to be stored right under the machine. This tamper is nothing special, but gets the job done. Next, let's look over the controls we have up here. So first we have a pressure gauge, which is a nice little feature that Breville put in here. Basically, you watch that as your shot's going, and they give you a zone that you are trying to aim for. And based on where that needle lands, you know that you either want to grind finer or coarser. It's just another way to see how your shots are going. It's a nice little feature. Next, we have 3 buttons right next to it. We have the program, the single dose, and the double dose. This machine has the ability to program your shots, meaning that you would just press one button and it'll run through the whole cycle and stop for you automatically. You would essentially just press this program button and engage the brew cycle, and then once you hit the yield that you're going for, you would stop your shot, and the machine now remembers to stop it at that point. It's nice. There are a few little quirks that we'll get into later, And you also have the ability to override that, so I could always just press the button, hold it down. This machine does have a pre-infusion stage, which we'll also talk about later. Engaging the pump after the pre-infusion, and then I can just stop it whenever I would like. So it's nice that those automated features are there if you'd want them. Now right next to the group head we have a hot water valve, which is handy for Americanos or rinsing out any cups that you're using. And then lastly over here you have a steam wand. Both the steam wand and the hot water spout are controlled by this knob here on the side of the machine. And the steam wand is actually pretty good. If you've ever steamed milk on a commercial espresso machine, this will be very underwhelming, just because home machines don't have the ability to steam as fast. But also for those that are newer to steaming milk, this really gives you more time to experiment, to learn how to steam your milk while you're going along. And since I've gotten this machine, I've gotten great quality milk out of there, being able to produce some pretty good latte art. One thing of note on this machine is it is a single boiler, meaning that you have a single boiler that you use to heat the water for both the group head and the steam wand. And since those are different temperatures, you're not able to both brew espresso and steam milk at the same time, which isn't really that big of a deal. You're not working in a high-paced cafe where you need to be able to produce drink after drink and steam milk at the same time as you're brewing. For me, what I personally like to do is brew my espresso, and then as soon as that's done, switch the steam wand on. It takes about 30 seconds for it to get up to temperature and produce some steam, but I find it fine just leaving my espresso sit there for a little bit until I can make my cappuccino. You do hear the pump engaging with the steam wand. That's not a bad thing. It's supposed to do that. You just turn that off, and then you'll hear right after this, that is the boiler releasing the steam pressure and all of that high temperature water so that you can brew espresso right away. So you could also steam milk before pulling your espresso. I just like to do it the other way around. Alright, so moving past all of those components, let's talk about some more external parts of the machine. First off, I will say that this machine stays really nicely on your counter. Breville did a good job putting some rubber gripping on the bottom of this machine. On the back of the machine over here, you do have a nice size water reservoir. Has the built-in filter back there. It's just really nice and easy to take this off, fill it up, slide it right back onto the machine. The only thing of note with this water is that when it's below the minimum line and it won't brew anymore, you have no way of knowing that just looking at the front of the machine. The machine's not going to tell you that it's run out of water. On the top here, you do have a sort of cup warming tray for your espresso cups or whatever to preheat them before brewing into. Lastly, we'll talk about this drip tray. It's really well designed where when you pull it out, you can see that it actually pulls out an additional accessory tray back there. So back here is where I keep my cleaning tablets, the brush, everything I need to clean the machine. And it's nice that it's all just in the machine and not somewhere else in my kitchen. This drip tray is really well designed. The only thing that happens is you get a lot of sludge in here because it's sitting under the actual grinder. I haven't had any issues with that. It's nice and easy to pull out and empty. And it does have this handy little tab that tells you when it's getting full. Before I bring out the other accessories, I will just say that it also has a 3-way solenoid valve on the inside of the machine, which basically when you're done pulling a shot, it's gonna sort of suck out the water in the group head and release it down into the drip tray just so you're not getting a soupy mess in your basket after you pull the shot. Now, as far as all of the other accessories that came with the machine, we have a steaming pitcher. It's nice. I was able to pour nice latte art with it. Like I said earlier, the machine comes with 4 different baskets. So we have the single wall double dose filter that I've been using. You also have the same version, but a single dose filter. And then you have 2 baskets that they call dual wall filters. These are basically pressurized baskets, which you would use if, say, you're using pre-ground coffee or you don't want to take the time to really dial in a shot. These are going to be really forgiving and give you kind of a false crema and give you a good shot without much effort, but I've never actually used these. And then the last thing that they include is this tool that they call the razor. And how they say to use it is after you have dosed out your coffee and tamped it, you're supposed to take this and run it across the top of the grounds so that you get the same height of bed every time. But that doesn't really make sense to me. I don't know why you would do that. The only time I could see using a tool like this would be to distribute the coffee grounds evenly before you tamp, but this is way too deep and just ends up pushing coffee grounds all over the place. Therefore, I have not used this tool, but give it a shot if you want. And those are all the accessories that Breville included with this machine. Like I said earlier, they do throw in some nice cleaning accessories like a brush for the burrs and a little pin to clean out the holes of the steam nozzle. So really nice, you get everything that you need in one package. So now let's talk about some pros and cons of this machine. My first pro, and one that I really love about this machine, is that it has the option to be very automated, but it's not necessary. And what I mean by that is, for me, I really like to dial in my coffees. I like to weigh out every dose, every yield. I'm just a little geeky about that, and so I like the ability to take my portafilter, manually grind out how many coffee grounds I want, start my brew, and end it whenever I want, and have the shot just the way that I like it. However, say if you didn't really want to put in all of that work, you just wanted to be able to wake up and automatically grind some coffee, press a button, and boom, espresso, you have that. I really like that about this machine. It caters to both those who are really geeky about espresso, but also those who just want to be able to make easy espresso somewhat. My second pro is this built-in grinder. It's really nice for people like me who already own a coffee grinder that I use to brew my filter coffee, my pour overs, but isn't suitable for espresso. It's either not able to grind fine enough for espresso, or you can't make the minute adjustments that you really need. And this grinder really does the job. It's not going to be the most amazing espresso grinder out there, but it works for this machine. You're able to dial it in, and honestly, that's all that I care about. If I was going to be really picky, there is some grind retention on this, meaning that when you grind a dose, some grounds are still left between where the burrs are and where they actually come out, but that's going to happen in pretty much all cheap grinders, so that's not really something I can complain about. My third pro is that this machine just looks nice. It is mostly plastic with these coverings to make it look a little bit nicer than it actually is, but it really fits in well in a modern kitchen. I wouldn't be too worried about this looking ugly on any countertop. The last pro, and probably the most important one, especially if you're watching this video, is it makes good espresso. I'm able to dial in shots exactly how I want. I had no issues with any actual parts or pulling shots. For the money, for the $700 US that you're paying for this, it makes really good espresso, and so I have no complaints in that regard. Now, obviously, this machine isn't going to be perfect. There are some negatives to it. First off, and it may sound a little bit obvious, but you do actually need to put in some work to pull espresso. Sure, you can cheat a little bit by using those pressurized baskets. That way you don't really have to dial in your grind as much. There's also the automated controls, but you still have to know what you're doing. You still have to know how much coffee to dose in your basket. You have to tamp. You have to do all these things in order to get a good drink. It's not as simple as, say, a super automatic machine that you can just walk up to, press a couple buttons, and have a cappuccino in your cup. You do need to put in the effort, but that effort is worth it in order to get a higher quality beverage. The next possible downside is, like I said earlier, this is a single boiler machine, so you can't brew coffee and steam milk at the same time on it. But for me, that really isn't that big of a deal. I'm not trying to make drinks as fast as I can. I'm fine with, for me, letting my espresso sit a little bit while I steam my milk. That was never really a big issue. But if you are someone who really wants that better quality, Breville does make a higher level machine called the dual boiler that has separate boilers for both the group head and the steam wand. It is more pricey and doesn't include the grinder, but it is sort of the same type of machine. My last negative with this machine is pretty nitpicky and maybe most people wouldn't care about it. But like I said earlier, with programming in your shots, you can basically set this program, go through your espresso, and then you have your automated controls there. However, I enjoy the pre-infusion that this machine has. If you're unfamiliar with pre-infusion in espresso, it's kind of like the bloom in a pour over. You're basically just allowing line pressure water to come into the basket before the machine engages the pump. So it's sort of preparing your coffee grounds to be extracted into espresso. Now this machine, whenever you do an automated setting, it has 10 seconds of pre-infusion. However, if I was to manually engage my shot, I could stop it after just 3 seconds and engage the pump. However, if I wanted to program that, the machine will not let me program any pre-infusion. This machine will not let me program any pre-infusion other than 10 seconds, which I find a little bit odd because I'm able to make shots that are like that, I just can't have them automated. So unless I'm doing something very wrong, which if I am, let me know in the comments down below. But that is sort of an odd thing that I don't think would turn people off to this machine, but it is something that you should probably know about before you buy one. So that's pretty much this entire machine. It's a really nice espresso machine for under $1,000. You get the built-in grinder, steam wand, everything is really nicely built and it looks nice. I would highly recommend it for anyone looking to buy an espresso machine in this price range, assuming that you don't already have an espresso grinder. If you do, Breville makes the infuser, which is this exact same thing, just minus the grinder. We will be putting out more videos about this machine, some tips and tricks on how to use it and how to dial in a shot with it. But until then, thank you so much for watching and happy brewing.